Mature interstellar life has not evolved in our part of the Milky Way galaxy, but it will. We are at the beginning of a billion with a B year plan to make that happen. Over the next 50 or 100 years, humans will discover simple life forms similar to bacteria on other planets or moons. Or perhaps we'll detect traces of life in other solar systems. In that case, it will almost certainly be single-celled organisms I'll call microbes. Why am I so certain? Life formed very quickly on our planet. With the right chemistry and environment, it probably formed quickly elsewhere. You can make building blocks of life, amino acids, from a few chemicals and some electricity in a lab. I don't think we'll find a way to actually turn that into beings that reproduce, because that's not science. It's not religion either, it's beyond. However, planets or moons make life easy or easily. The life they make is microbial and protean. It changes. For a billion years on this planet, organisms were just double strands of RNA that split and reformed, replicating. They didn't have cell walls. They were surrounded by other strands of RNA, parts of which they absorbed, and parts of themselves getting absorbed by others. The blueprints of life were not passing down generation to generation. They were spreading around. After a billion years, cells got membranes around them, so the amount of spreading was reduced. But it is still the main way microbes change. They secrete their DNA and absorb the DNA of others. These are the kinds of organisms we're probably going to find on other planets or moons. Multicellular stuff like us, and dogs and cats and plants, insects, everything you eat, is built from something else. About 2 billion years ago, with a B, 2 billion years after life appeared, something happened. Very unusual. It was the only time microbes were almost exterminated. They were the only form of life, so that would have been it. But in these conditions, one microbe absorbed another. And instead of digesting it, the absorbed one took up residence. It became mitochondria, dedicated to making energy. With all that energy, bigger cells formed, eventually joining together into bigger organisms, leading on to eventually us. NASA has thought about what will happen when we send robots or humans to a place where there's microbes. They say since those have evolved in a different environment, contingent on their own random paths, they will have different genetic material, maybe a triple helix instead of a double helix. Being so different, it won't be able to interact with us in the sense of infecting or parasitizing. But microbes exchange genetic material sideways and don't care at first if it fits. Earth microbes will shed theirs, and Eris's microbes will shed theirs. Both will absorb each other's. Maybe it will just be junk. But give it some time, and there may be chimeras, a combination of both. The most important event will be this. One planet's microbe will absorb the other planet's microbe, like the symbiotic union that happened on Earth. A new, larger cell, this time combining microbes of 2 planets. It's often noted pejoratively that humans are animals. We are. We are expressions of the evolutionary paths on planet Earth. The amount of gravity on this planet determines how big and wide things are. The amount of land determines how many organisms can breathe air. there are planets covered with water. Oxygen is very efficient energy, but dissolved oxygen concentration in water is 30 times less than in air. Fish cannot get enough oxygen to have large brains. Every planet channels whatever life is on it. And that life almost certainly isn't adapted to space travel because that's not its environment. So wherever life evolves on a single planet, it will be provincial. But microbes that survive space travel are a special breed. They've been detected already on the space station. If these microbes form a symbiotic union with organisms on another planet, they will fuse the evolutionary paths of both planets. Then after, say, another billion years of evolution, they may form complex organisms that are not provincial. They may be capable of space travel. Life is easy to form, but symbiotic unions are not. Yet this may be the basis of living systems that can go beyond their own planet, that are not animals like humans, but are a chimera, a combination of, say, an animal and something else, something that goes beyond either planet's channels. It takes a long time. Maybe that's why there's no evidence of advanced life we can detect. It took 2 billion years for a symbiotic union of cells to occur on Earth, then at least 1 billion years for these cells to join into multicellular form. Once Earth cells reach another planet or moon, it may take a long time to form unions, and of course, even longer for those unions to become ET. The center of our Milky Way galaxy is 13 billion years old, but stars in our big spiral arm are half that age or less. There just hasn't been enough time for symbiotic unions that fuse life evolved on different planets to become the complex organisms that are mature interstellar life. We're still in the first provincial stage.